Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.
You were behind the establishment of one of the very critical assets in Akwa State, which is the Ibom Power Company Limited. So, Your Excellency, sir, we want to find out what was the original intent of your administration.
You will find that at some point I said our government was a thinking government. I was just not making a statement. I meant what I said. We looked at what we wanted to achieve. We wanted an airport with an MRO facility. We wanted a science park because we knew IT was soon going to rule the world. We wanted, because people would come, high net worth people would come, we wanted a hotel of quality, and we wanted a university of technology. We decided that to try to run anyone, not to mention all of those things, on generator, it's silly. So we decided we would have a power supply source that's dedicated to Akwa Ibom. But we didn't just stop there, therefore. We thought, for goodness sake, we're an oil-producing state. So I formed something called APEL, Akwa Ibom Petroleum and Energy Company Limited, APEL Company Limited, APEL. And APEL had 4 subsidiaries. APEL Power, that was to generate power. APEL Exploration, that was to go in to get marginal oil field. APEL Refining, that was to refine the oil. APEL Distribution, that was to distribute. APEL Marketing, which was to market the products that come out of our refinery. So there were 4 subsidiaries. APEL Refining got a license to do 100,000 barrels a day refinery. APEL Power obtained permission to build a power plant dedicated to Akwa Ibom. And the agreement then was that this power will be dedicated to Akwa Ibom, and only what Akwa Ibom does not use will then be put onto the national grid. This was agreed. This was agreed. So you can see that we succeeded in our APEL exploration, managed to get a marginal field. We were the first in this country to get a marginal oil field, APEL. Having got this thing, we decided we must have some Chinese company, LYK, came and said they can take up the building and running of this refinery, and they'll bring most of the money, 90% of the money. And they agreed with us that it would be a futile attempt to try and run that refinery successfully on generator. So the first thing they started was, in fact, a power plant. And I went to the government of the Federation, God rest his soul in peace. Chief Bolage was then the Minister for Finance. I said, please, you have 4 turbines sitting at Alscon, doing nothing, because by this time Alscon had been shut down. Release 2 of these turbines to me. Let me give Akwa Ibom power immediately. And I showed him the paper to say that we have ordered 2 new turbines. So when these 2 turbines come, I will release your turbines back to you, but I just want to have a head start on this thing. It looked like we were making progress. Then suddenly there was hostility. Why should we want to have power? Why should we want to have a seaport? By the way, that's another critical issue that needs power, the seaport, because we said we must have this seaport at the back. Why should we want to have a seaport, want to have an airport, do we want to secede? So from that point, there was hostility towards all those major issues that I've mentioned: the airport, the seaport, and the power plant. But I went to Lele Moka, who was the Minister for Power, and said, please, you have to assist me. I cannot see that 20th century, not to mention 21st century, should be run on generator. Help me to get a power plant. I will do 60 megawatts, because at that time Akwa Ibom was consuming 40. He said, no. If you want to do a power plant, you must be a sensibly sized power plant. You are consuming 40, because that's all that's available to you. There is something called suppressed demand, that if then I had even up to 60, 70, 80 megawatt, Akwa Ibom would consume it. So that's how we decided, okay, we will do a larger power plant. By this time, with the help of LYK, 2 frame 6 generators or turbines were on order. So through Lele Moka as well, I came to know that a frame 9 will give you more power than 2 frame 6s, because the design of that power plant was 4 frame 6 power plant from GE, and 2 were already on order. So we're about to order the next 2 to make them 4. He said, no, order a frame 9. A frame 9 will give you more power than 2 frames and cost a little less than the two frames. So that's why if you go to that power plant today, you see 2 frame 6 and 1 frame 9. That's how it came, and the total came to 191 megawatt. So that is how, that's the history of the power plant. We wanted to be sure that Akwa Ibom can be the first state in this country to say, I offer you 24-hour constant power, because there'll be not, I mean, this is a magnet. This is the big attraction for people to come, knowing that there's power, you know, and then to service these other things that we ourselves were establishing. The airport and MRO, the seaport, as I said, the hotel and the science park and the University of Technology, all needing good constant power. So I'm really, I'm a little surprised. Then the government came and started this Genco, this, go, that. I said, when that turbine arrived on a port in Port Harcourt, it was loaded onto one of these articulated trucks with about 16 wheels, because it was that big and that heavy. And that started out of the port, when, thank God, as an architect, something occurred to me, that things are designed to carry certain loads and not beyond it. So quickly, I got in touch with the federal government and said, this bridge, what is the maximum load that this bridge, the bridge at the Koraba, from under the Korabasi to Ogoni Road? They told me, and it was much less than the weight of that turbine. That suggests that if that truck had gone onto that bridge, everything would have been at the bottom of the sea. So right away, I stopped the truck, they turned back. We had to dismantle everything and put them on barges. So eventually we brought piece by piece on barges to be reassembled and in Ekarabasi. That's an interesting thing for you to know. Before we left office, even after my successor, Godswill Akpabio, had been elected, Obasanjo came and commissioned that power plant. I have the photograph, I have the tape recording and everything else. So I left office, and the next minute I heard that it is Godswill Akpabio that I built a power plant. I had heard a lot of things about what I did that were claimed by my successors, but it didn't bother me. But this one bothered me because of what I went through to get that power plant established. So I wrote a letter to Jonathan when I heard he was coming to commission a power plant, sent him the photograph, sent him the tape, copied Obasanjo. I said, just in case you have doubt, because this power plant has been commissioned. So please don't add to the fraud that's been going on to say you are coming to commission a power. So they changed it to switching on power or something. They changed the story. But it was because of that. And it's the first time and the last that I ever protested whatever claims anybody was making about who built what, who didn't build what. Because even the hotel, I was told I was not the one who built the hotel that was built. But even Obasanjo came and slept in that hotel one day. I know I slept in the same room when I came the last time. So how come it wasn't built at the time I slept in it, you know? So there were all these kind of claims and I just ignored them. But this one I didn't ignore because Jonathan was being to come and, you know, reinforce something that was not true. So I wrote to him, sent him the picture, sent him the tape, and said, please, this thing was commissioned, was completed, and it was by your predecessor in office, Obasanjo. So that's I think that I don't know whether I've missed out anything in the history of the development of the power plant. The only thing is that I would urge the government to see how that power station can be enlarged.